You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Hey Sprouts, it's Father K. It's Thursday, February 20th. Yesterday we continued our story about Tommy, and today we'll conclude that story. Just then, some people from the crowd brought the caped ninja knight some little wafers of bread in a gold bowl and some red liquid, juice, wine, blood. Tommy wasn't sure. The ninja warrior raised the bread up while whispering some secret words and did the same for the red stuff, now in one of those fancy goblets. Why did he lift them up? Was he showing them to God, perhaps? Offering them to him? Did God get hungry? Tommy knew he was. He didn't have time to think about his hunger, though, because just then he saw it. It was some sort of thing floating around the bread and the red stuff on the table. It was like a big, ugly fly. No one else could see it except the superhero. Suddenly, there were hundreds of them, thousands, maybe billions of those little flies. What would he do? Just then, someone handed the superhero the smoking mace ball thing again, and this time, he went crazy with it. He was making smoke force fields, swirls, and twirls. Tommy could barely see him when it was all over. Those fly demon things were so angry and discombobulated, you would have thought they just got off a merry-go-round in a hailstorm. Exactly what they wanted for the enemy, he was sure. The sidekick took up the smoke ball and bowed to his master and started flicking it right at his head. The master didn't even flinch. Of course, thought Tommy, he's flicking those demons off him. He could see one of them get smacked right in the face and go flying in a blaze of fire right out the stained glass window. Everything was silent. They were alone. Then the man standing at the big table blasted another bolt of energy right from his heart. It was longer this time, and so was the response from the people. Tommy felt linked to him, as if whatever they had just done had bound them together. His words were now Tommy's words, his actions, Tommy's actions. He began to glow. His face was so bright, Tommy couldn't see it. When the light turned down, his face had changed. He looked like someone Tommy had seen before, but he couldn't remember where. Suddenly, the ninja hero started making a force field right over the fancy cup and plate. After a bunch of special incantations, he leaned over and got very soft with his voice, almost whispering. He was holding the wafer of bread in his fingers. Suddenly it occurred to Tommy, he's putting some spell on that bread. He's going to turn it into something else. But what? In another instant, Tommy got his answer. The night ninja held the bread high over his head and Tommy saw it burst into flames. It was like he was holding a miniature sun. Tommy wanted to shield his eyes, but he couldn't. He needed to look at that sun. But it seemed more accurate to say that the sun was looking at him. The superhero put the sun back down on the fireproof gold plate. His hands seemed to be unaffected. He must have some special fireproofing on them. Then he took the goblet, leaned low, and whispered something. He raised it high above his head, and lava seeped over the top like an oozing volcano. Fire was all over that big table. But what happened next really made Tommy wonder. He went down on one knee again. It seemed to be some sort of act of reverence, like a knight would make to a king or a ninja to his master, but to the fire? That would only make sense if the fire were more than just plain ordinary fire, but some sort of person, a god or something. Could it be? Could it actually be a god fire? A horrible flash of terror shook Tommy. It all made sense. Not only was it a divine god fire, but it was some divine fire food, potion, elixir thing. The man was going to eat it. That was the secret weapon. He was going to eat the fire and what? Turn into fire? Is that possible? Is it a good idea? It was a very good idea. If that smoke thingy and those little flaming swords could keep evil spirits away, just think what a ninja wizard warrior knight could do with the ability to throw or breathe fire. Just as Tommy had anticipated. After the man had said a few more magical words, the people all joined him in a battle cry. Everyone knew this one. Then he mixed the sun and the lava together and ate it. He burst into flames. Only he wasn't burned up. Tommy could feel the heat on his face, and the man wasn't burned up. If only he could get closer. And then it happened. People started going up to the ninja, and he gave other little suns to them, and they burst into flames. The room was filling up now. It was getting hot. A few minutes later, everything seemed to be back to normal, though. The man who had put the bread into the fire dismissed the whole crowd by placing a force field over all of them. Tommy could see a glowing ball of power like a great bubble settle over each of them. Tommy felt invincible. Then he realized they hadn't been there to watch a battle. They had been there to be commissioned for battle. Everyone began to leave. They went downstairs to eat their donuts with sprinkles. And just before they left, the man, all dressed in black again, came in. He looked over at Tommy and winked. Or it could have just been his imagination.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Well, I hope you are enjoying listening to Father K this week. As you listen, I have 2 challenges for you to work through all week long. First of all, pray very hard for priests, particularly for the priest that serves your parish. And next, spend time in prayer, contemplating if God is calling you to a vocation in the priesthood or religious life. Wonder about that. Ask God and spend time having Him answer that question for you.